And also with us, former Democratic Congressman Max Rose, senior advisor to Vote Vets. So, guys, the Brennan Center for Justice estimates that in Wisconsin's record-setting $100 million race, as of last week, independent groups who spent untraceable dark money favored Schimmel by a large margin, $12.9 million towards Crawford, compared with almost $32 million boosting Schimmel. Congressman Rose, what's the takeaway from this?
Takeaway is very simple. Democrats had a very motivated base. MAGA base was highly depressed, and the majority of independents and persuadables went to Democrats. This despite Elon Musk and his fellow billionaires continuing to pour tens of millions of dollars into this race.
Or was it because of that? Because Elon Musk made such a big show in this race that they were wanting to send him a message?
If it's that, then they're really, really screwed, because they clearly have no pathway to try and buy elections going forward, and that's potentially the only strength that they have as a political party now. Now, look, the spinners on the right will continue to try to spin. But the numbers just do not lie. And you can tell that story from, yes, Wisconsin, where there was a victory. But, of course, the story also applies in Florida, where the margins were just so much tighter, exponentially tighter than they were in the general election just a few short months ago. So this is a nationwide trend that really does not bode well for the Republican Party as they continue to wage war on the government and on the values that we hold dear.
We'll circle back to that Florida election result in just a moment, but I want to get Maura to weigh in on what happened in Wisconsin. Elon Musk donned a cheesehead hat. He raffled off millions, and Maura, conservatives lost. Are these results backlash or just coincidence? Was Musk a spoiler for his own team?
Musk used a good amount of his own money. And so I think for Republicans, they are brushing it off as it was a long shot opportunity for them to try and get in the first place. And he went out there and championed it. Why was it a long shot,
Maura? Because Donald Trump won Wisconsin in the last election.
But I'm saying I think that Wisconsin's been pretty level-headed. I think Kamala Harris won that state, or she won Virginia, but she won. She did pretty well in Wisconsin. But I think that people right now, voters, what you could take away from this is, one, voters were motivated by the fact that you had Musk money in there. This was the most expensive judicial race we've ever had. And so that may have been a motivation to deter people from wanting to support Musk. But I think the MAGA voters, I don't necessarily think, turned out for this, not understanding fully what the implications would have been. Musk tried to make the point that it would impact congressional races as they do redistricting, but I don't think that was made very clearly. And again, Trump wasn't part of it. And you just saw that last night with the House in the House, with Speaker Johnson not being able to get his members and trying to push this proxy vote issue. Because without Trump, a lot of members aren't as swayed. A lot of voters who are MAGA loyalists were not swayed. And so it does say that his megaphone and his presence and his pulse on things impacts the voters that Republicans are losing.
Well, we are seeing a big backlash to DOGE and all these cuts at the federal level, potentially in the thousands. We know at least thousands, maybe tens of thousands, as we are learning more about the numbers here. DOGE is supposed to be dissolved by July 4th. Maura, I do wonder, would Republicans be wise to let Musk's involvement in this administration quietly dissolve too?
Well, I think that's also the point, right? It was announced that it would dissolve and their work would be finished by July 4th of 2026, America's 250th birthday. And so will they use that to then, quietly ask him to go back to Tesla and maybe give themselves a little bit of cushion before the midterms? But really, we'll see another indication in November of 2025 with the New Jersey and Virginia races. We'll have another indicator. But I do think the two main points that voters voted on in November was about the economy and safety and security. On the one hand, people do feel better about safety and security. They appreciate the stronger border policies, although I think there are some people who are worried about it going too far. But largely, by and large, it's been approval ratings that have been pretty high. However, on the economy and with this Liberation Day tariff announcements that are coming, I do think that it's going to be a let's see how it plays out, because it is not going to impact Donald Trump or Elon Musk. It's going to impact the Republicans who are trying to keep their seats and the American people who are going to be dissatisfied, potentially, with the fact the economy hasn't been improving.
Well, exactly, when all the experts and even the executives at American companies are saying these tariffs are going to cause pain. Congressman, coming back to what happened in Florida, you put kind of a positive spin on those results, which were a loss for Democratic candidates in both of those two House special elections. The margins were closer, but the bottom line is Democrats spent 10 times the amount, at least in that one race for Mike, the Republicans in that particular contest, and still lost significantly. I have to wonder, do Democrats need to take this and adjust as they try to win seats in Republican current territory?
So that's Mike Waltz's former seat of Signal fame now. What you have to understand about that seat is that's the same margin. He won that by the same margin as AOC won her Democratic seat. So imagine if the Republicans had gone around and halved the margin in AOC's race and had her hyper focused on keeping her seat, they would be celebrating left and right. So if that type of marginal change happens across the country, you're going to see this next election in 2026 be an absolutely wave election.
So you think that this is the new Democratic playbook, what's taken place as far as their approach?
At this point, there is one political party that needs to focus on changing, and it is the MAGA party that has spent the last 70 days firing veterans, seeking to close the VA, making people scared as all hell that they might not receive Social Security, and sending our economy into absolute turbulence. That's the party that has to look themselves in the mirror. The Democrats, I've never seen them more united and more focused on bread and butter economic issues, and they're pulling full steam ahead.
Guys, conversation to be continued.
Okay, guess what? It's time to talk about Donald Trump's big April the Fool's Part 2, April the 2nd. Welcome. Affectionately dubbed by the man himself as Liberation Day. That's right. This isn't your ordinary day after April Fool's joke. This is April Fool's Day 2 on financial steroids. And it's sponsored by your life savings and the global stock market. Anyway, what's on the agenda? Tariffs? And not just a few scattered duties here and there. We're talking, get this, a colossal tariff extravaganza that covers trillions and trillions of dollars worth of imports. Trump is throwing a tantrum. No, it's a tariff party, and every nation on the earth is invited, whether they like it or not. Imagine every country waking up on April the 2nd, today, find out they're on Trump's dance card. That's what's happened. You get a tariff. You get a tariff. Everyone gets a tariff. Vomit in your mouth? Well, same kind of thing. Trump has framed this as Liberation Day, liberating Americans from all those bad trade deals and all their money they've got saved up. You know, those trade deals that past presidents supposedly bungled. It's all everyone else's fault. It's kind of like declaring independence from common sense. The White House lawn is set to become, after that Tesla launch, the stage for this grand declaration. Today we're going to see promise of economic revival and lots of America First banners flapping in the breeze. Tremendous. Meanwhile, economists are scrambling to figure out, well, just how much this party is going to cost. Although Fox, they think it's a party, they think it's great. Suffer the pain. There's predictions of rising prices, juiced inflation, and a bit of global market turmoil just to keep things spiky or spicy. Broke, maybe. But wait, there's more. Trump assures us that this is going to bring back, wait for it, drum roll, bad drum roll, manufacturing jobs to the good old USA. Yes, because nothing says job creation like skyrocketing prices and international trade disputes and international trade wars. China, Canada, Europe. The aim to make imports so expensive that companies rush back to set up shop in the US. Somebody needs to explain it works both ways. But anyway, I think it's like trying to fix a leaking faucet by turning off the water supply to the entire town. Good luck with that move. Anyway, as for the rest of the world, well, let's be honest, not exactly RSVPing with glee. Tariffs might be great for a laugh and, as I said, a punchline on Fox News, etc. Economic chaos theory. But for global trade, not so much. Countries around the world are already hinting at retaliation. The global economy is sitting there nervously, that's the truth. Kind of laughing at the party invites, hoping it's all just an elaborate prank. Unfortunately, it's real. Anyway, there you have it, folks. April the 2nd. You're not going to forget April the 2nd, 2025. Your calendars forever. It will be etched, etched, etched. Trump plans to turn international economics into, well, I'd say a reality TV show, but he's already doing The Apprentice Does the White House Part 2. More plot twists than the season finale of any financial show you can think of, and whether it ends with fireworks or fire sales, well, we'll just have to, I wouldn't say tune in and see, live it. It's right there in front of you. And if Trump or anyone in the Republican Party is listening, I hope you appreciate the jokes, because like all good comedy, the truth hurts, and some people are going to, so in the world, they're going to get screwed, broke, and things probably aren't going to go as the administration intended. We just hope that's not you, it's not you, it's nobody we know in our phone. Fingers crossed that somebody gets some liberation somewhere. Do I sound sarcastic?
Of next year's midterm elections. Let's get some analysis now with pollster and communication strategist Frank Luntz. Frank, thank you so much for being with us. You just told me a moment ago that you watched several hours of Cory Booker's speech. You've described
which makes me weird. I get that.
No, I mean, I just described you as a pollster and political analyst, so it's what you would do, watch Cory Booker for 3 hours. You were moved by his speech. You thought it was very effective. Why?
Yeah, and I say this to Chuck Schumer. We did a survey asking Democrats who they think should lead their party. And Schumer doesn't have the leadership, isn't willing to speak out, doesn't have the message. I'm watching Cory Booker and I'm thinking, this is the first Democrat who's actually challenged Trump in a human way, a personal way, an individual way. It's not about bashing and slashing and stuff that some of the squad want to do. It's a narrow approach that says we can do better. And it humanizes these issues. And he said, we need leaders, not from Washington, but from the citizenry. And that was a powerful statement to me. I know that's what Democrats are waiting to hear. We just did a focus group on this. And I know that they're frustrated with the current leadership who aren't holding the president accountable. Now, I don't take sides. I'm a teacher, so it's my responsibility to call it what it is. The public still wants most of what Donald Trump is trying to do. They actually support, in a generic way, putting America on a level playing field in terms of economics. But they don't like the approach that's being taken because they think it's too extreme. They think that it ignores the individual, and they think that there's a better way to do it.
What did you make of the way that he described the shortcomings, not only of himself, but of the party, and how that might be received? I mean, what do Democrats risk by not listening to that message?
Well, he's telling the truth. All the polling, I think CNN has some of it itself, all the polling shows that the Democrats have never been as unpopular as they are right now, at the very moment that people are starting to question what the Trump administration, at least how it's doing what it's doing. So his speech was basically a reset. And I'm not saying that it'll hold, but I do believe that Cory Booker has now emerged as one of the single best spokespeople for the Democrats who are saying this is not good for the country, we disagree, and we want resistance. He never used that word.
Notably, yeah.
And I think that's important. It's not politics that he's preaching, it's policy.
I also want to get your thoughts on the two special elections last night. The first one in Wisconsin, where Elon Musk spent millions and millions of dollars. Could that race be read as an indictment of his role in this administration? Because Wisconsin has had razor-thin margins over the last few elections.
It could be. I think the Democrats will read too much into it, saying, aha, we found the secret sauce, we're going to change things. And Republicans thinking that Florida, winning both those House seats, the fact is they won those seats with a reduced margin. I've never seen anyone like Donald Trump able to turn out votes when he's on the ballot. But he's not been nearly as successful when he provides support for candidates, but his name doesn't appear. And in the end, we're still an evenly divided country. We're still a polarized and angry country. And the reason why I appreciate this discussion is that it's a chance to say precisely The agenda and the policies have support. The communication and the execution do not. So I don't know if you're a Democrat or Republican, you're going to be mad at this analysis, but this is the way things are. And we should start to pursue the truth rather than pursue some sort of partisan game.
How do you take that sentiment and apply it to what we're going to see at 4 p.m. in the Rose Garden, this announcement on tariffs?
It's going to freak the world out, and some Americans don't care. I understand that he did it because the markets are closed at that point. You could see an explosion on Wall Street. And Donald Trump has always used the stock market as a measurement of his success. Well, he can't ignore it now. And if the markets are saying this is not the right way to do it, he needs to listen. Make no mistake, Americans are tired of being treated as second-class citizens. They're tired of countries like China taking advantage of our markets, selling their products, and blocking our products. But they don't want to pay more. And the tariffs are like a tax. And so we've got, once again, a mixed message. I hope Americans respond slowly to this, because in the end, our businesses are at stake. Our economic system is at stake. Capitalism is at stake. Wow. And how we handle this will determine how the rest of the world is going to see us, trade with us, negotiate with us, and treat us in the months and years to follow.
Powerful analysis, as always, Franklin.
Additional investment here in America because of his threats. So, I don't know exactly what he's going to announce, but he's got really smart advisors. He's well aware of the double-edged sword nature of tariffs, that there will be pain. He's aware of my concern, and certainly a lot of business people and farmers in Wisconsin that are concerned about that. So he's aware of that, but he's used tariffs in the past pretty effectively. So right now I've got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
So I'd rather be us than them. Look at what they did in those 2 seats in Florida. They spent over $20 million to lose. You can talk about the margins, but they still lost by double digits, and it cost them $20 million. I'll take that all day long and twice on Tuesday. Keep pouring that dark money in and keep losing, because that's what's going to happen.
Well, the flip side of that coin is Elon Musk put $25 million of his own money into the Supreme Court contest in Wisconsin and lost. So.
Too little, too late. Too little, too late. Elon didn't come, in fairness, Elon didn't come in until the last minute. I wish we could have had that back. We could have gotten in a lot earlier. But at the end of the day, we got the W, and that's what's the most important. And special elections are special for a reason. Typically, we have lower turnout in special elections. But I will give the Democrats credit. They were organized, and they spent a ton of money to lose those seats.
All right. Congress.
Are you okay with your constituents feeling more pressure and more pain when it comes to the economy as these tariffs are put in place, and then the retaliatory tariffs are also put in place? Are you okay with pain being on their shoulders for a while as this all gets worked out?
Nobody wants pain for their constituents. I don't want pain for the people of Florida.
But Donald Trump said there will be some pain and disruptions.
Hold on. But you are making an assumption without knowing the details.
I'm not making the assumption. Donald Trump himself said there was pain and disruption that was going to happen.
You're making an assumption. You are making an assumption, an economic assumption right now. Let's be very clear. The real pain economically has been the massive inflation coming from bloated overspending here in Washington, D.C. That is the real pain that the American people have felt the last 4 years.
So today, Wisconsinites fended off an unprecedented attack on our democracy. That's right. our fair elections and our Supreme Court. And Wisconsins stood up and said loudly that justice does not have a price. Our courts are not for sale.